Absolutely.
Kirk Herbstreit, your piece on Kirk Herbstreit and his opinion on the college football playoffs and Cincinnati finally getting in, where he was saying that the conspiracy theorists or it's a joke. Actually, I mean, I agree with everything you said. It's there. It is. It doesn't matter what sport we're talking about. They want the name brands. You want Duke and Kentucky and Kansas, and you want Indiana to be good. In college basketball, you want those teams to be good. And it's the same with the college football playoffs, I think.
Here's how it's different, though, Jim. If you are the NCAA or you are the TV networks or whomever, or you are those sports writers that like to have that team to point toward, whoever the group is that you're talking about, in college basketball, in college soccer, in college volleyball, in the NFL, in the NBA, in the NHL, in Major League Baseball, in Wimbledon tennis, there you can want whoever, but there are certain ways that anyone else can get into that championship. If you are a basketball team in the Horizon League, if you win the Horizon League tournament, you get to play for the championship. If you are a tennis player and you are ranked 1 to 30 or whatever the number is, they have to put you in the U.S. Open. They can't say no. If you are an NFL team and you either win your division or you meet the wild card standard, you are in. In college football, they invite everybody that plays for the championship. It's the only sport that I've been able to find on the planet where all of the individuals in the most important championship are invited. No one can say, if I win this conference, I'm in, no matter what. No one can say that. Literally, not even Alabama can say that, because you could theoretically, I guess, not that they could lose 2 of their games against Mercer or whoever, and not make it, and then go out and win the SEC. They still wouldn't take them, even as Alabama, if they lost to Mercer. No one can say, this is what I need to do at the start of the season, and if I do these things, I get to play for the championship. It's the most broken postseason in any sport on the planet, and it has to be fixed. That you have to have automatic qualification. If you don't, your championship is not legitimate. So even if Cincinnati goes out and beats Alabama and then beats Michigan or Georgia, it's not the same as, let's say, if Butler if Gordon Hayward's shot had fallen. It's not the same, because everybody in the 2010 NCAA college basketball season had a fair and equal opportunity to pursue the championship. And that's not the case in college football. And I realize that he works for ESPN and that they put that thing on TV. And I'm not saying that it's not entertaining and that it's not good competition when the games are good, but it's not the way football, it's not the way sports are supposed to work.
I agree. And they have to expand this, I think.
Yes. Well, at the very least, you have to expand it to 6. So you can get all 5 Power 5 champions in there and one from the other 5 leagues. You have to, that's one way to do it. However, that excludes the possibility of Notre Dame. So then you have to go to 8 because Notre Dame is an independent. And if they put together,
why does Notre Dame get special treatment? Because
there's no requirement. There's no requirement that anybody belong to a conference. Everybody gets wired up about that, but no one should. Just as no one should be able to force you to pay your coach a certain amount of money, limit the amount of money that you pay for your coach. You shouldn't have to play in a league if you prefer not to. If you go out, if you put together a season that's worthy of a spot in the championship, a 12-0 season, say, then you should have every opportunity to make it. You just don't have the right to automatic qualification. You have forfeited that right. So you should have to be an at-large team. So that's why 8 is the minimum that would make a fair championship. They're talking about 12. I'm not saying that they need 12 to make this a fair playoff. But if they do that, it certainly is more just than what we have now, as long as there is automatic qualification. They're hung up now on this distinction. This is how funny negotiations get sometimes. The original plan was for the six highest conferences, highest rated conference champions, to get an automatic bid. That was the original plan that came out of the committee that included, I believe, the Big 12 commissioner, Bob Bowlesby, the SEC commissioner, and several other people. That was the original plan. The group, the alliance group of ACC, Pac-12, Big 10 want that to be semantically different, which is to say the Power 5 champions plus one. And the reason for that is they don't want, there have been years when the ACC champion this year would not make that standard. There have been many years, multiple years, when the Pac-12 champion would not have met that standard. So they want it to be Power 5 plus one. And so they're hung up on that right now. That's one of the things that's stopping the expansion from happening. I don't know how wedded to either one of those circumstances the divided groups are, because I really still think it comes down to money. I don't think they want to expand this playoff and only have one bidder, which would be the ESPN. I think that the other parties involved want this to be open to all bidders so that they can maximize the revenue, whether it would be Fox or Turner or NBC or maybe even someone like Amazon. I think they want to, there's a group that wants to see how much money is this thing really worth if we put an expanded playoff out on the open market for bidding.
Yeah, I heard Kevin Warren talking about that multiple TV partners. That's the one thing that he's really looking for. And obviously, with the Big Ten's affiliation with Fox, probably pushing for Fox to get involved somehow.
I think that's part of it, absolutely. But I think they want Fox to have a shot. But I do think that there's a possibility that that someone else, because we don't know what any of them think. No television network wants to buy something and lose money on it. They want to buy something that's going to help bring in viewers and make money from it. And so they know what the number is where they're likely to not be able to see that profit, or what the dividing line is for them. And so I don't know whether Fox or Turner or whomever or ABC, ESPN, how far they're willing to go. I don't know, but I think that what I do know is that if this playoff were put in a open bidding situation instead of a one bidder situation, it's likely that the number would be higher with the open bidding.
Oh, I would think so. How much pressure is Cincinnati under to win, to play well, not to win, but to not get embarrassed, to not get destroyed? Because I'll be honest with you, I saw that team play with my own eyes, and I didn't think they deserved to be in. I'm like, if this is one of the top 4 teams in the country, we're screwed this year. There aren't very many good football teams. But that was just my. True.
This year. I mean, if you think about it, Alabama, which is now the #1 seed, was life and death to beat an Auburn team that wasn't very good, and they should have lost. I mean, Auburn had to screw up 3 different ways for Alabama to even go to overtime. Auburn had 2 possessions where they needed a single first down, and they were in Alabama territory on both of them, I believe. They were in plus territory on both of them. And all they had to do was get a single first down, and that game ends with an Auburn 10-3 victory. And they failed in both cases, and in both cases failed not just physically on the field, but from a standpoint of offense, of mentality. The one running back went out of bounds when he shouldn't have, when he should have stayed in bounds. You go out of bounds if it gets you the first down, sure. But you do not, if you are not sure you're getting a first down, you do not go out of bounds. You stay in and you go down. Failed there. The coaches failed on both occasions to on the third down plays to be aggressive with pass plays and allowed their running backs to get squashed on third and short runs. And then, of course, they gave up a 90-plus yard drive So there were multiple physical and mental failings there. And so that's your number one seed that needed that to win. And also, I mean, literally, we're in a one-score game with two programs that fired their coach, LSU and Florida. And that's your number one. So that's the first thing you have to understand is that the power teams that are in this playoff are not at the standard that they were the Clemson team that had Deshaun Watson, or the LSU team that was unbelievable that had Joe Burrow. I mean, that's not what you have this year. And so relative to Cincinnati, look, if they don't play well, they're going to catch a lot of heat. But their simple argument is to point to the playoff tournament's history, which is that very few of the semifinal games have been competitive.
Nope, they've done blowouts. Yep.
And I think some of that is that finality that you get behind and you start to get a little desperate, and I think that feeds into it.
Yep.
And then some of it also is the disparity that that LSU team was going to blow out almost everybody that they played. They were just ridiculous. And Alabama's team last year was much the same. With I watch now Najee Harris every Sunday play for the Steelers, and I'm like, I can't believe this guy was in college last year. I mean,
I remember having that conversation with you. I'm like, I said, people, you want to know why those teams were so good? I said, that's why. I said, look how phenomenal this dude is. He's awesome.